Have you ever wondered why so many seniors regret remarrying later in life? If you're over 70 and considering walking down the aisle again, what you're about to discover could change everything. At first glance, remarriage seems like a golden opportunity for companionship and happiness, but the reality often tells a different story. For countless older adults, that second marriage becomes a source of unexpected stress, financial strain, and deep regret. Why? Because after 70, the rules change completely. What begins as a beautiful love story can quickly transform into financial turmoil, emotional hardship, and even legal complications. This isn't about pessimism, it's about protection. You've spent a lifetime building security and stability. Maybe you're feeling lonely, or perhaps someone's encouraging you to take this step. These feelings are completely valid. But before you make that lifelong commitment again, there are crucial truths you need to hear. Truths that too many people learn when it's already too late. The financial risks you can't afford to ignore. That warm feeling of companionship comes with cold, hard financial realities. Your carefully built nest egg, the pension you earned, the savings you accumulated, the home you paid off, could suddenly be at risk with just one signature on a marriage certificate. It's not about distrusting your partner. Marriage legally merges your financial worlds. Their debts become your responsibility. Their medical bills could drain your savings. Their children's expectations might override your own family's inheritance plans. Even if you promise to keep finances separate, the law often sees things differently. Consider this. Many seniors lose crucial benefits after remarrying. One woman discovered too late that her deceased husband's social security payments would stop, a devastating blow to her monthly income. Another found her carefully planned estate going to her new husband's children rather than her own. These aren't rare exceptions, they're common consequences few anticipate. Your financial security represents more than money. It's your independence, your peace of mind, your ability to control your golden years. Before combining lives with someone new, ask yourself, is this worth risking everything I've worked for? The psychological toll of this kind of financial loss is severe. Seniors who feel financially insecure often begin to feel powerless, anxious, and even ashamed. They may avoid telling their kids about their situation out of embarrassment, or worse, try to cover up the issue entirely. The independence they worked so hard to protect begins to crumble, and the marriage that was supposed to bring joy becomes a daily reminder of what they've lost. Take Ellen, for example. She was 74 when she remarried a kind man she met through a church group. They were both widowed and found comfort in each other's company. But what Ellen didn't know was that her new husband had outstanding medical debt and no savings. Within 2 years, she was using her own retirement fund to help him stay afloat, and her children were devastated when they found out she had revised her will under pressure. What started as love turned into quiet financial panic. When you're in your 70s, financial stability isn't just about money. It's about peace of mind, dignity, and the ability to live on your own terms. Remarriage might offer emotional comfort, but the financial consequences can be staggering. If you've made it this far with a roof over your head, food in your kitchen, and a plan for your future, take a breath before you walk down the aisle again. Your heart might say yes, but make sure your wallet isn't saying please don't. Number 2. Health responsibility overload. When you remarry after 70, you're not just sharing your heart, you're also signing up for someone else's health journey, whether you realize it or not. And at this stage of life, health isn't a side topic, it's front and center every single day. You've probably spent your whole life caring for others, your children, your spouse, maybe even aging parents. Now, just when you're finally ready to rest and focus on your own well-being, remarriage can pull you right back into caregiver mode. Let's be honest, by the time we reach our 70s, most of us are already juggling our own doctor visits, medications, and dietary changes. Maybe you've got arthritis in your knees, high blood pressure, or you're managing diabetes. These things aren't small, and they take energy. When you bring another person into your daily life, someone who might have even more complex medical needs, you're suddenly responsible not only for yourself, But for them too. That means more appointments, more medications to manage, more emotional labor. It might start slowly. Maybe your new spouse forgets to take their pills. Maybe they need a little help getting in and out of bed. But over time, that little help becomes round-the-clock support, and it can drain you, not just physically, but emotionally. What was supposed to be companionship starts to feel like a burden you didn't expect to carry. What many people don't talk about is how this kind of caretaking can actually shorten your own lifespan. Studies have shown that older caregivers often neglect their own health. They skip their own checkups, eat poorly, sleep less, and become socially isolated. Why? Because they're putting all their attention on the other person. And in doing so, their body and mind quietly deteriorate. That was exactly what happened to a woman named Patricia I once met at a senior community center. She remarried at 76, and at first it seemed like a dream. Her new husband was charming, sweet, and fun, but within a year, he suffered a minor stroke, and suddenly, Patricia was lifting him, bathing him, managing his physical therapy schedule, all while ignoring her own knee pain and worsening vision. By the time she came in for help, she was exhausted, depressed, and on the verge of collapse. Her spirit dimmed, not because of love, but because of unspoken expectations. And here's the hard truth. As much as we want to be there for someone, we can't pour from an empty cup. At this stage of life, your energy is sacred. It must be guarded. Remarriage might seem like an invitation to happiness, but without clear boundaries, it can quietly become a long-term health responsibility you didn't sign up for. So before you say, "I do again," ask yourself this: am I willing and able to take on another person's healthcare needs today, tomorrow, and every day after that? If you have even the slightest hesitation, honor it. Your well-being matters just as much as anyone else. In fact, it might matter more now than ever before. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any video. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 3. Legal complications. One of the most overlooked dangers of remarriage after 70 isn't emotional, it's legal. What many seniors don't realize is that entering a new marriage later in life can create a web of financial and legal entanglements that can have lasting consequences, not just for you, but for your children and even your grandchildren. Let's start with inheritance. You might have spent your entire life building a legacy, a modest home, a pension, a savings account, maybe even a few sentimental heirlooms. You likely have your beneficiaries lined up, your will written, and everything planned, but the moment you remarry, all of that can shift. In many states, a new spouse has legal rights to a significant portion of your estate, even if your will says otherwise. That means your children could receive less or worse, be locked in legal battles after you're gone. It doesn't stop at inheritance. Remarriage can also affect your Social Security benefits, particularly if you're receiving survivor benefits from a deceased spouse. Many women who were married for decades to their first husbands qualify for survivor benefits that can provide a steady income. But remarriage, even one made for companionship in later life, can reduce or eliminate those benefits. That's money you may be counting on suddenly gone because of a new marriage certificate. Then, there are medical decisions and power of attorney. If something happens to you, an accident, an illness, a sudden hospitalization, your new spouse may automatically become your legal decision maker. Even if your adult children know your wishes better, or are better equipped to handle those situations, they might be legally sidelined. And if the relationship between your children and your new partner is strained, the consequences can be heartbreaking. Carol, 81, found herself in the middle of such a nightmare. She remarried a man she met at church, thinking they'd just be companions in old age. But when she became ill, her new husband had the legal authority to make decisions that her daughter completely disagreed with. They ended up in court, fighting not only over medical choices, but over who would inherit the house Carol had meant to pass on to her grandchildren. Carol once said, "I thought I was finding comfort in my last years, but I created a mess. I never meant to. Many older women, especially those who've worked hard to build a life of security, don't want to think about legalities when love or loneliness is involved. But that's exactly when clear thinking is most important. Remarriage isn't just a personal choice, it's a legal contract with far-reaching effects. At this stage in life, clarity is your best friend. It's not unromantic to ask hard questions. It's wise, and it's loving, not just for yourself, but for the family who's walked beside you for decades. If you value your legacy, your peace of mind, and your family's well-being, don't underestimate the legal complexities that come with tying the knot again. Because what feels like a fresh start can sometimes lead to unforeseen chaos. Number 4. Loss of personal freedom. After 70, the one thing you've truly earned more than money, titles, or recognition is your freedom. The freedom to wake up when you want, to eat what you like, to spend your days on your terms. You've lived for decades taking care of others, following rules, making sacrifices, and now, this is supposed to be your time. But remarriage can quietly take that away, sometimes faster than you ever imagined. When you marry in your younger years, compromise is part of the deal. You're building a life together, making decisions as a team. But by the time you reach your 70s, your routines, habits, and preferences are well established. You've learned what brings you peace, what keeps you healthy, and what kind of company you enjoy. Adding someone new into that carefully balanced rhythm can feel like more of a disruption than a delight. Let's be honest, at this age most people are set in their ways, and there's no shame in that. You've earned it. But living with someone else again means giving up some of that structure. Maybe your new partner likes the TV on all day, while you enjoy your quiet mornings with the newspaper. Or they expect 3 full meals a day, while you've grown comfortable with your light and easy routine. These differences can feel small at first, but add up quickly, wearing down your patience and turning your peaceful home into a place of subtle tension. There's also the emotional labor that comes with any close relationship, listening, adapting, explaining. You might find yourself spending more time managing emotions, coordinating activities, or even dealing with your partner's family dynamics than doing what brings you joy. Suddenly, your hobbies are pushed aside. Your alone time feels like a luxury you have to ask permission for, and the independence you cherished. It's slipping away inch by inch. Take the story of Florence, a 76-year-old widow who remarried after 5 years alone. At first she enjoyed the company meals together, walks in the park, having someone to talk to at night. But as the months went on, she realized she'd given up her quiet mornings, her solo vacations, and even her control over the thermostat. "I didn't mind compromise when I was younger," she told me. "But now, every little change feels like a loss." This doesn't mean companionship is bad, or that love disappears with age, but it does mean you have to ask yourself, are you truly ready to shift from freedom back to shared decision-making? Because, at this stage, peace and personal space can be more valuable than partnership. Some might say that love requires sacrifice, and maybe it does. But in your 70s and beyond, you've already done plenty of sacrificing. You deserve relationships that honor your pace, your comfort, and your freedom, not ones that demand you give it all up again. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any video. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5. Financial entanglement. Remarrying after 70 might bring emotional companionship, but financially, it often opens a door to unexpected stress, confusion, and long-term vulnerability. When you're in your 30s or 40s, joining your life and your finances with someone else can make sense. You build together, save together, and plan for a future that's still far ahead. But in your 70s, the game has changed. You're no longer building, you're protecting what you've worked your whole life to earn, and remarriage can quietly undo decades of that work. Let's get one thing straight. Money in later life isn't just about numbers in a bank account. It represents your security, your independence, your choices, and when you remarry, your financial world doesn't just grow, it merges. That means your assets, your social security benefits, your pensions, and even your debts may become shared, depending on how the marriage is legally structured. And unless every single detail is planned out in writing beforehand, it's easy to lose control of it all. Here's where it gets tricky. Let's say your new spouse has children from a previous marriage. What happens to your money if something happens to you? Will your assets go to your own children or to theirs? Without proper legal protection, like updated wills, prenuptial agreements, or clear estate plans, you might leave behind a legal mess that sparks conflict among the very people you love the most. And those conflicts can tear families apart. Or think about this scenario. You've worked your whole life to pay off your home, and you're living comfortably on your retirement savings. But your new spouse brings in unpaid debt, or worse, financial habits that don't align with yours. Maybe they want to lend money to their children. Maybe they rack up credit card bills. Suddenly, your nest egg is exposed. One signature, one shared account, and your carefully built foundation can begin to crack. I once spoke to a man named Gerald, 82, who remarried after losing his first wife. He didn't think much of the financial side. He thought love would work it all out. But within 2 years, he found himself paying off his new wife's unpaid medical bills, supporting her adult son, and selling the vacation home he'd planned to pass on to his own daughter. I just wanted company, he told me, but I ended up giving away half my life. Now that's not to say remarriage is always financially dangerous, but it does mean that without clear planning, honest conversations, and protective legal measures, your finances could be at far greater risk than you realize. And in your 70s, you don't have the same margin for error you once did. So, ask yourself, do I have the energy, clarity, and time to manage a complex financial merger? Am I ready to protect not just my heart, but my estate, my legacy, and the people I care about? If you feel even the smallest bit unsure, you owe it to yourself to pause, reflect, and get the guidance you need before making such a permanent decision. At this point in life, you deserve to feel secure, not stretched thin. Remarriage can be wonderful, but only if it doesn't come at the cost of your financial peace. Final thoughts. By the time we reach our 70s and beyond, we've weathered storms most people will never even know about. We've endured love and loss, sacrifice and celebration, silence and laughter. And with each passing year, we come to see life, not in terms of what we can gain, but what we no longer need to carry. That's why remarriage at this stage is not just a question of companionship, but a deeper, more personal decision about how you want to spend the most precious years you have left. Maybe some folks watching this are thinking, but I'm lonely. I want someone to grow old with. That's a completely valid feeling. Human connection never stops mattering. But the truth is, companionship doesn't have to come from another marriage. It can come from good friendships, from meaningful family relationships, from community, and from within. The kind of connection that nourishes your soul doesn't always come with a wedding ring. We're conditioned to think that being partnered means being complete. But what if you're already whole? What if your time now isn't about merging with someone else, but about returning to yourself, about finding joy in your own company, about not having to explain yourself, not having to shrink or stretch to fit someone else's mold? That's not loneliness. That's liberation. I've spoken to many older women who remarried and later quietly admitted they miss their independence, their peace, their freedom. Some wish they had paused and truly asked themselves what they wanted, not what society told them they should want. Because once you're past 70, you don't owe anyone a performance. You don't need to prove your worth through partnership. You've already proven it just by getting here. So, before you say, I do again, take a moment to say, you deserve ease, joy, rest, in whatever kind of life you want to lead. Remarriage might bring that, or it might not. The important thing is that your choice comes from a place of self-trust, not self-doubt. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next